Greetings, everyone. Welcome once again to the Ozz and Crew Reviews podcast. I am your host, Ozzy. With me, as always, and for our final episode, my co host, Mad Matt.
I would still buy that for $1.
And joining us once again this time is our friend, Ojunix.
Uh, Coming with me, dead or alive. The last time.
Uh,
Mortal
today,
Kombat!
today, we're talking about the Robocop attempted reboot from 2014. Um, this was interesting to watch because I'd never seen it before. And I think it's another one of those cases where there's been more recent movies that have been so bad it makes this one not look as bad in retrospect.
Mm.
We'll go into detail, but
It's,
I
it's, it's still pretty terrible, and we'll go into
yeah,
that,
yeah,
yes.
it's got some issues. It's got some big issues, but this is definitely better than the attempted Ghostbusters reboot, in my
It's a
opinion.
case. It's a case of starts well, then goes off a bridge and doesn't stop.
And in regards to how it does that, I will let Matt do his best to try and describe this briefly before we go into the specific details of the actors and some of the scenes.
Alrighty. So, to begin off this movie, we do start off with a bit of a noise making, which turns out to be the host of the news show, which is played by Samuel L. Jackson. Samuel is going on about how these new air quote drones, which are more giant robots and human-sized robots, that include Ed 209s, are helping with pacify people in the Middle East. To which a bunch of people are trying to self-sacrifice so they can be on the news and show people getting murdered over there by the machines. Doesn't go quite to their plan because they get caught trying to do what they're trying to do, and most of them get caught off screen. But it is very possible that for a brief moment there, a child might have almost gotten being shot on the news because he decided to foolishly run out there with a knife and pissed off an Ed.
Oh
Um,
no!
yep, had the hell happen. So long story short, they're still trying to push drones like this inside the United States, but there's been a legal act to prevent it from happening because they can't trust the robots to not malfunction, misbehave, and just start an all-out frenzy.
Yeah, they can't. They
Uh,
cannot trust the robots to actually make a actual judgment call that really only a human could make.
yes. So the CEO of OCP, which is played by I
Michael
can't think of his
Keaton.
name now, Michael Keaton, decides that he wants to try and combine the mechanics with an actual human, so the way the human can make the judgment call properly, and therefore be able to get around the law and be able to finally make law enforcement machinery in the United States that can actually help reduce crime. Long story short, we got Alex Murphy. He's got a black male partner this time named Lewis, who gets shot as they're trying to crack down on a ring of gun thieves who are selling high power weapons to a bunch of lowlives within Detroit. And Lewis got injured. He plans to continue to pursue this gun seller, not drug seller. He plans to pursue the gun seller, and despite the fact that he's starting to notice that maybe a couple of the cops may be corrupt and are trying to stop him. When this is being found out, he is unaware that at one point one of them manages to sneak over to his car while he's at the hospital, rigs it to explode, and when he's at home, the alarm system goes bonkers, which apparently was a thing that happened earlier. And when he goes to try and stop it and opens the door to his car, it suddenly explodes. And this is the catalyst for him being severely injured, losing a lot of his capabilities, including an entire leg, most of an arm, and even his ability to see in one eye, as well as the huge amount of third-degree burns on 80% of his body. So they offer to his wife to put him through the system to become basically the Robocop. Um, He finally does eventually wake up 3 months later. He seems to be recovering, but he doesn't understand and doesn't want to listen. So he takes off, but they manage to stop him through a device and bring him back to the lab, where they then take off all the mechanical parts to show him how much is really left of him, which is a bit disturbing.
Yeah, yeah, big time.
But they eventually give the okay that he can get back in the suit as long as he behaves himself, and he'll be able to make contact with his wife. He does so. He goes through a few more training steps, and he manages to show that he's in pretty good control of everything that's going on with the machines. However, once he gets ready for his big reveal, they start putting the crime lists through him, and when it finally hits recent time, in particular his own crime, he starts to have a freak out, watching himself blow up over and over and over again, and basically has a seizure and melts down. They have to basically hit him up with enough
Dopamine.
non-feeling.
Dopamine.
Yeah, essentially dopamine.
Well, they're trying to bring his dopamine down. They're trying to bring his dopamine
hit his dopamine down so low that he barely can give more than a robotic response, and he basically goes off like a robot and starts targeting criminals and starts pursuing people one by one. It's after he's confronted by both his partner and eventually his wife, telling him that his son is starting to have panic and can't seem to get to school anymore, even on his own, that he starts to finally raise his own dopamine on his own somehow, and is starting to fight the system and is starting to research his own crime. He finally figures out that his son had seen the entire explosion, so he was already awake when the explosion happened, and he's been in shock ever since. He can't trust anything. He feels he's not safe, and his father has been severely harmed, and he's not feeling safe in his own home anymore. So he takes it into his own hands to finally hunt down the gun seller, starts hitting up all the corrupt cops, which is then when the heel turn happens, when the mercenary guy that's been hired by the company that's been helping him become Robocop suddenly hits the kill switch and turns him off. He goes into essentially a deep sleep mode, and they're looking to fix him up and try and figure out what happened, when everything just basically hits the fan from there. And I'm not sure we want to ruin the plot. We'll talk more deeply on the plot as we go here.
We'll talk about more because the plot twist that happens is like an obnoxious...
It is a huge thing.
It's the main thing that ruins this movie, and we'll get to that after we discuss some other stuff.
But so long story short on that, we will cover most of the details on that later. But it's a huge plot twist. The back turns on everything. He has to fight a bunch of the people that were involved in helping him, and then by the end, he finally gets to, I guess, essentially more or less leave with his family. Although he does seem to be returning to the police department at the very end of the movie.
Yep.
So that's about it.
Now, I mentioned this before we started recording. There's a lot of like good actors in this that I didn't recognize them when we were watching it. Because, like, I did not recognize Gary Oldman as Dr. Norton. I didn't recognize Jackie Earle Haley. Because I think just the fact that he had his head shaved and he had a beard, he just looked drastically different.
Yeah, I haven't seen enough Jackie Earle Haley to know who he is off the top of my head normally. But, yeah, Commissioner Gordon, a.k.a. Dracula, I would have thought I would have known him right off the bat. But, yeah, the hair and the makeup they did on him was particularly well done. I couldn't tell who he was originally. At least now by being mentioned, I'm like, oh, okay, now I can kind of see it now. But yeah, initially it's like, oh, yeah, I didn't even have a clue.
So let's talk about each one of these actors that are in this in the more major roles. We got Joel Kinnaman as Alex Murphy, and I looked at his IMDb, and oh yeah, that's right. The one thing I recognize on the list is that he played Rick Flag in Suicide Squad, both the Suicide Squad movies. So the thing I most know him for. Didn't recognize him.
I'm not sure who that even is either.
He was because you watched the second Suicide Squad movie.
I saw the second one. Yeah,
he was the guy that was like a military. He was the military guy that was with the group. That was the only person that was just working for the government and didn't have a bomb in his head.
Okay.
That was who Rick Flag was in that.
Did he even survive the beach? I can't remember.
He survived the beach. He was the only person aside from Harley Quinn that survived the beach in that. But he ended up getting. You know, I'm not going to spoiler another movie in the movie we're
Yeah.
talking about. Um, but needless to say, I don't really recognize much else in his list. I'm sure some of these movies are good. They're just not in my. They're not in
Wheelhouse.
my cabinet of tea that I would drink, so I haven't watched them. But as far as his portrayal in this, it's like I think he did an okay job of reacting the way I think most normal people would
Yeah,
in
he did
the
a
given
solid job.
situations he ends up in. And the weird thing is, like, once he was RoboCop and like everything except his face was gone, for some reason my brain was just seeing like Brendan Fraser when that's not who it was. I don't know why I was seeing some sort of similarity between them, but it's kind of
Weird.
ironic
Okay.
because Brendan Fraser played Robot Man in Doom Patrol. Um, I think we were talking about him. We can talk about what they did with his character in this. Like you mentioned, the scene where they showed him how little was left of his body.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how this has a PG-13 rating with that
Yeah,
fucking
that
scene
was almost pushing an R.
because with how long they lingered on it, just showing like his
All
freaking
these little human parts that are still moving and
yeah
barely keep being kept alive,
yeah
and him literally freaking out there and going, "No, just kill me, just do it, just end this."
like Ojunix even had to look away because he couldn't stand to look at it.
Yeah, because I don't know. It's weird when I think about how much when I can see gore in video games and be slightly irked, but not complete grossed out. But then seeing the movie, I just ugh.
It's different when you're seeing gore from like somebody getting killed as opposed to seeing like lungs inside a glass case that are functioning.
Yeah,
So it has a very unsettling feeling
yeah,
to
yeah.
it.
Oh, yeah. Because
That
I made a comment saying how you actually see when
The throat and stuff moving
when,
too. Yeah,
yeah, when he was swallowing his probably his saliva, and you actually saw it, uh, go up and down. I was just like, okay, that I did not need to see that.
like it was so.
I would not be able to be a doctor.
I don't know why they had to linger on that so long. It's like okay, you showed him what's left of him. Put
Yeah,
the other
but
parts back on. So we
at least the chest part,
at least the
because
chest parts, so we don't got to stare at it for so long.
yeah, like it the
he'll
prolongedness
get the
made
point
me.
across fine enough when you just revert him back to a nugget,
Yeah,
and that's already going to be bad enough as opposed to being parts of a nugget.
it's like see, you have no legs or arms. You just literally are
And
lungs,
lungs,
a
a
brain.
throat, and a head.
Yeah,
And we had to put freaking computer chips attached to your brain in order to make sure the rest of your brain functioned properly and normally.
other than that, and something we're going to go over when we get to the end, there's actually not that much you can say about him because if you think about it, he didn't have much control over the storyline for a good chunk of the movie, in spite of being the main character, because he was kind
Yeah.
of, there was chunks of the movie where
Technically, the main character, there's chunks of the movie where he was very robotized. There's chunks of the movie where he did get a few moments to shine here and there, especially when he got to tase the asshole mercenary.
his level of awareness of what was going on was in a way handled a little in reverse of the original RoboCop, or in the original
Yeah.
RoboCop, right from the get-go, they didn't want him to have any human emotions or memories or anything, and he slowly got them back over the course of the movie. Whereas in this, he starts out fully aware of what the hell is going on, but because he doesn't
Mhm.
have the response time of an actual robot, they
Had to
more and
slowly take
more,
more and more from him.
yeah, they start stripping more and more of his individuality from him until he's just a machine that goes out and takes down criminals.
Which is
Until
like,
until he hits that point where the switch gets flipped in his head where he solves his own murder and starts actually
yeah,
thinking again.
There's a little bit of that. There's also the fact that I will say one of the more interesting ideas that they threw in here is that he's not totally aware of who all was involved in possibly setting him up for all of this, and the fact that actually the CEOs aren't like trying to get him killed, or at least not initially. It's literally the fact that they're trying to pull a plug on him all of a sudden because they don't feel like they can trust him because he went after his own department because he found all these corrupt a-holes. Now he's suddenly a problem and a threat, and he needs to stop them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll talk a little more about that later when we.
But
yeah, because I have a few choice words on that.
Mm,
So let's talk about Gary Oldman as Dr. Norton. He's in a way, Dr. Norton's almost like the main character for a chunk of this movie.
Hmm.
Because he's the one that's fighting to keep RoboCop's humanity intact.
yeah, pretty much the entire movie, in
Yeah.
fact. And he's also, if he's not at least trying to do that, he's at least trying to help protect Alex's family
Yeah, because he
from all these corrupt a-holes.
he had like a ton of he had a ton of restrictions on like his willingness to do this thing in the first place. So like as they keep doing more and more things that he didn't agree to, it's kind of obvious why he's going to start getting annoyed. Like I'll bring this up again later when we talk about the stupid fucking plot twist. Either you have anything you want to say about his performance as a Dr.
Very
Norton?
genuinely kind of a human character, a very likable character overall.
Hmm. I probably definitely one to stand out because you see this kind of a lot in the movies where the evil, overpowering corporate saying and telling the ones that work under them to keep their mouth shuts and all that. I kind of appreciate the Doctor really show that he was one of the good guys because he actually first thing was not about himself but saying, well, if they're gonna kill uh, Alex is like, okay, make sure his family is taken care of beyond their dreams. And then he says, and then make sure to compensate me and a new team and all the funding I can get. Is like that's surprisingly. He's like, I'm okay with this as long as everybody's taken care of.
And the fun fact is that that's actually just a cover because he realizes what's going on because of his associate down in the lab, and quickly
Right,
get everything set up to help get Alex out of there and hopefully fight these guys off.
right. But if had he not made it, he could at least maybe to a small degree at least know that the family would be
Taken care of.
well taken. Yeah.
Taking care of him safe from all this bullshit.
Speaking of the family, we do have Abby Cornish as Clara Murphy, but like, is there really anything of note we can say about her or the son?
Yeah, sadly, they show more of the family, but they still don't focus on them enough to really say much about them. She seems like a lovely lady. The boy seems like very responsive and bright young man. But outside of that, I couldn't really give you anything
Yeah.
else on them other than
Well,
generic stereotype of
um,
good family.
Yeah,
the boy. I mean, the boy is about standard for a child actor. Nothing really wrong, so fine there. The wife, for the most part, she does what she needs to do, but I do get if in the context of the story, yeah, she's probably very emotionally, I mean, depressed, angry, confused. A lot of mixed emotions are happening.
right.
At the same time, it almost I swear that I think outside of maybe the beginning, rarely ever saw her. Oh, in the at the end, I do recall. It almost seems like she was always just stuck on permanent um, cold stare face.
But I mean, she
Uh,
really kind
but-
of had reason to with the way the story was going.
I get
Yeah.
that, but I feel like maybe she could at least maybe it then vague a little idea of what you're maybe. Sometimes it's kind of hard to really know what they're thinking. You probably get after viewing it, but
They don't
At the
get.
same
They,
time,
she
maybe
didn't get
it-
enough screen time. That's the problem. It's like,
yeah,
like,
that's
she-
the main problem.
she's-
Is there's not enough screen time to learn anything about her.
yeah, she's relatively important to the plot, But the thing is, she doesn't get enough screen time to actually be anything other than loyal wife. That's her whole purpose in
Yeah.
the story. Which admittedly
I-
is actually more
yeah.
than the same character got in the original trilogy with the way they handled that part of the
Yeah,
story.
yeah, probably the less, yeah, which is not much.
So that brings us to Michael Keaton as Raymond Sellers, the CEO.
A perfect choice for a sleazy CEO.
He is he
Mike Key
also
is a
I
good.
wouldn't
He's
normally have thought of him for that kind of role, but he did that pretty well for the most part.
I mean
Michael Keaton is a
When the
good.
plot isn't doing dumb things to him.
yes.
He's a very good actor.
Mhm.
So
He's a sleazy CEO who at least seems to be behaving in a logical
Logical
manner
manner.
for the
Mhm.
first 2/3 of the movie. Until all
mhm.
of a sudden he suffers a stroke, not literally, but his character might as well have suffered a stroke for how
Yeah.
stupid he fucking got near the end of the movie.
And kept making
Yeah.
really dumb decisions.
So
Dumb decisions that was going to get him into even more trouble the further he went into it.
The fact that he puts the uh uh Matt Talks, like, for some reason just randomly decides to put him in charge of, I guess,
yeah,
security it was.
yeah, that didn't make any
I'm like,
sense.
yeah, that just that scene really just
You
came
know the
out of
clown that
nowhere.
failed me? I'm going to put him in his head as
I
security.
mean, if the Matt Talks guy showed up like near the end just because he wanted, is like, you gotta
Want some
stop
revenge or
RoboCop.
something? Yeah, I can
Yeah,
see that
yeah.
happening.
But no, out of nowhere, he says like, "I'm putting you in charge of security," and Matt was like, "Okay, well, I need all feed and access to his functions and everything." And I'm like,
I need to be able to hit his kill
"Why?
switch whenever I want to, as long as that device
And
is on him.
Why?"
even earlier in the movie, it made no like for what Omnicore was going for
Going
with
forward,
this, he made no sense to be attached to the project. Their whole point of this was because they couldn't just have robots on the street doing the job, so they needed a person inside of a machine. Mattox completely disagrees with that principle. Why is he involved in the process?
and then not only that, but then is brought back in to be
Yeah,
in
yeah.
charge. It's
The,
like the dude
Insufferable
was
and stupid the entire way.
the dude was already against it. Why would you want to put the guy who literally has made it clear he does not like RoboCop in charge? It's like,
yeah, it was so
what the
stupid.
hell?
It was so stupid because it's like, okay, he's like, my machines are better than him. Okay, but we're not allowed to use your machines. We're literally not allowed to. We're legally not allowed to use them. So it doesn't
Yeah,
matter if they're better.
we're trying to get something so we can make it legal. And
We'll talk. We'll talk
if
about him.
it,
We'll talk about him again in a second. Um,
yeah,
is there really
yeah.
anything we can say about RoboCop's partner, Jack Lewis, played by
Wow,
Michael
yeah,
Kenneth?
Lewis
Well,
even got more sidelined in this movie than in any of the other movies. Even Lewis in RoboCop 3 had a bigger part.
like he had a few good moments when he was
He had a
allowed to
couple good
actually do
moments, a
something.
couple good lines, but he really was not there for most of it.
You know, now that we're talking about this,
He
we're
was there for
talking
one
about the
gunfight.
characters. Now that we're talking about the characters, I think part of the problem with this movie is too many of the characters don't actually get a chance to really establish themselves as anything, which is bad because this is literally a 2-hour movie. Like
2 hour movie, and they don't have the time to flesh out RoboCop's partner or his wife.
it feels like there were too many plot points they tried to stick into the movie, so they didn't actually have time to examine any of the characters more than they should have, or more than or
It,
as much as they needed to.
Actually, that might be to blame that the fact that they try to separate the main plot from Act 2 and 3 so much from each other. Maybe they should have actually combined them and streamlined it a bit.
And I'm going to talk about we're going to talk about Maddox in a second, but is there anything we can say about Antoine Vallon, the guy that like was originally responsible for Alex dying? Because the funny thing is, in spite of the fact that you assume he's going to be the main villain based on the way they start the movie.
Yeah,
He's
and
just
Yeah, the
then
Clarence stand-in. Yeah,
he's just generic crime boss. He really
yeah, he's
is.
yeah,
just a generic crime boss. He
yeah. Because outside
doesn't
the
really do
beginning part,
anything. He's at least smarter than some of the average crime bosses, but he still does stupid things and still gets
I,
himself caught in the end.
we're talking about the firefighter or the guy that he arrests, like
The
that
the
was
the, the bad guy, who's trying to sell all the guns.
yeah, right. Um, I really had no opinion on him because I just felt like he
He
was
was just
there.
there. He was just there.
Yeah,
He's just
yeah,
there to be a target.
yeah. And so it's and I mean, he was probably the only guy that really had any lines from the bad guys, the the gangs.
Yes. So there are other characters we could talk about, but I think Maddox is really the only one left. So we could mention the chief of police, but like
Yeah,
she's
that,
basically irrelevant for most of the movie too.
She's been relevant to
yeah,
the point that we didn't realize that they were going to do the heel twist on her.
We had two crooked
Yeah,
cops that barely got any screen time for us to really judge their characters in any way. Man, it's weird. It's weird.
One
Now,
of
now
the
that we're
stupid thing that got him shot, and then the other one gets tased at the end.
we weren't that bothered by a lot of stuff while watching it, but now actually reflecting back on it, you start to realize none of these characters got fleshed out like at all.
no.
Oh.
I mean, they showed the two corrupt cops.
At least in the
But-
originals, they would have had some character moments.
Yeah, but yeah, I was gonna say that's one thing I'll give the original. They at least kind of tried to make the gang guys or the criminals
Memorable, if nothing
yeah.
not else, by at least the way they acted.
like they gave them at least personality, which is more than what I can say for this. It's just two corrupt cops, and then oh wait, the chief was also
Cookie cutter cops. Look,
Yeah.
cookie cutter
Which-
corrupt
which-
guy selling guns. Look, cookie cutter good family.
which I mean, I suppose it was about the only reason why it explains why the chief, who at first is all, it wasn't really even sure if she was all for this RoboCop thing, but then out of the blue, because it seemed like they wanted her part of the project, out of the blue, it's just something like, shut him down. He's getting too close to the crime board. I'm like, he's doing his job.
And then you realize,
know,
it's
but
because
they-
she's crooked and she's involved. She doesn't want to get found out.
Yeah.
Yes. Which of course that leads to the stupid plot with heel turn. I'm like, what?
But the thing is that whole thing with her, there was not really any foreshadowing of that, like at all.
No,
Yeah, just
like
came literally out of nowhere. She seemed to not even care for those other guys just as much as we did, but apparently not. She was apparently in cahoots.
And we could talk more about Maddox, but I think we really talked about everything that's wrong with his character. But so I guess the question is how do you feel about Jackie Earle Haley's performance as the character, because he was one of the more integral characters that actually got a decent amount of screen time.
well,
He played a good sleazy mercenary. I'll give him
yeah,
that.
he was cocky. He had personality.
It was funny to
I-
watch him get tased.
Wait. Though his, I guess, death was kind of anticlimactic
Yeah.
because he's got RoboCop pin, and I'm just like hoping. Okay, I mean, obviously the whole RoboCop fights the system in his head for the final confrontation, but I was like hoping that he would do it here against Mad Talks. He doesn't, because Mad Talks just while going,
Talks him.
I'm putting out your misery. He just gets shot and killed from the back by Lewis.
Yeah, which was kind of weird because it's one of the like two awesome moments Lewis has in this, but at the same time it's like it almost feels like he didn't earn it because like his character got like no build up.
Just
Yeah, no, Lewis.
I feel like a whole bunch of character buildup. I wonder if maybe they filmed it and for whatever reason cut it for time.
Yeah, because
I really do wonder.
That honestly would not be surprising.
It is one of those things where I could imagine there being a cut of this movie that's actually like 3 hours long because of all the
And it
characters.
actually properly introduces the characters and actually gets the character work done like it's supposed to. Yeah.
Yeah, and sadly,
which
I almost-
admittedly would make the movie better, but it still would not fix
Also
the
a long
problem.
set.
Would not fix the
Yeah.
problem with what we're about to talk about.
The still won't fix the end plot. No.
Yeah, yeah. So
No.
after RoboCop takes down the guy that originally killed him, and basically takes down all the corrupt cops,
He's
OCP decides to be completely stupid and just decides they're going to kill him and claim that he died, and they're going to use the fact that he's a martyr now to get the bill passed so they can get their robots on the street. And it's like all these stupid things that we pointed out, like that, like literally if OCP had just done the right thing and just let him go back to being normal, all of their problems would have vanished. They literally created a problem for no reason.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, because as far as I can tell, they're not related to the crime boss or the corrupt cops or
No.
anything.
No, they had nothing.
no.
No, the reason
But
they
all of a sudden, because he took them down, they're suddenly getting paranoid that maybe they're doing something a little shady on the back burner, and they might be caught for it eventually one day too, and they don't want to be caught for that. Let's get rid of him.
I mean, sure, we could say maybe what they were trying to do and the things they tried to pull with Alex could be considered somewhat unethical, but
They still do it above the board, and they still get away with it. Literally, what it boils down to is that all of a sudden OCP turns into those criminals from a Monty Python sketch that literally turn themselves in, even though the cops aren't there because they haven't done anything illegal yet.
Well, I mean, they basically turn
It's literally a sketch.
I mean, they basically turn into every form of media idea of the evil corporation, because out of the blue they're like, well, Alex just not only solved his own murder, he suddenly he can figure out corruption within the system. It's like, oh no, what if he finds out? Maybe he's like, what if he finds the corruption in all corporations? We can't have that.
And then
I find out about my walks by the ducky pond.
So then, Dr. Norton, not being a complete sociopath, actually wakes Murphy up and tells him what's going on. So he goes after Raymond Sellers to arrest him for trying to kill him, because he's like, he literally has the data in his head. It's like, okay, this CEO has now committed a crime. I can go arrest him. Fights his way through the tower. We're not going to talk about it too much because there's too much combat to really just.
It's just a lot of CG mess with a bunch of 209s.
And it ends with this climax where, the thing is, because he's a red asset, that means that the machine's not allowed to attack him. But he's like, I could shoot you and you can't do anything about it. Or I could shoot your family who's here conveniently and you couldn't do anything about that, which then just causes him to actually push through the programming and kill him. It's like,
Yeah.
It's like, why did
Congratulations, you really did the dumb thing you shouldn't have done.
It's like, why did you push your luck? Like, have you never seen a story where like the hero literally overcomes the impossible because you pushed them too far?
I hate to say it, but the fact we've actually know for a fact in the real world, CEOs literally don't watch their own stuff or their own works.
I think the CEO needs to watch a little more Dragon Ball.
So it's like, no, I can totally buy a CEO just doesn't know these things are a thing because he doesn't watch anything. He's too busy counting his money.
But then as a result of this,
I am of the human spirit.
As a result of this, RoboCop ends up, unlike the previous series, actually being completely detached from OCP under, with Dr. Norton.
So he's under the care of Dr. Norton, who's going to keep watching over him and keeping everything up, and he's under the care of his family, and he's able to visit them whenever he wants to now, and therefore there's no reason to even have a sequel because there's nothing really bad for them to go through anymore.
And they actually put the OG RoboCop armor on him at the very end of the movie.
A version of it, yeah.
I mean, I could see it. They could have done sequels.
Yeah.
They could just let him
So here's why I think they did the stupid plot twist that they did, and it has to do with sequels. I think they wanted to detach him from OCP unlike the original series. They probably thought
That
that,
they could have more idea.
yeah,
They thought they could come up with more stuff other than OCP
yeah,
being a returning problem.
yeah. I think
Yeah.
they saw that OCP being involved in every single plot line in the original series was actually a problem. Which it was. It was a problem that
It
OCP
became a
never.
problem by the third one for
Yeah,
sure.
the fact that they never
Yeah.
went the fuck away. But the problem is, okay, so you want to come to that conclusion. You need to come up with a plot line that's less stupid than what actually happened.
Agreed.
Less stupid than that. All of a sudden, the smart people became really, really, really extremely effing dumb and just literally tossed everything to the wind.
This may sound uh, I can't think of the word common, but my idea while we finished watching the movie was instead of the CEO, I think frick is it Mattox should have been just basically the real bad guy in the end. He basically just comes in, takes over because he just basically wants revenge on RoboCop because
Oh, actually, yeah. If he came in and suddenly did a surprise takeover, it would also include maybe him killing the CEO,
yeah,
which
he
means that
comes.
the entire corporation is tossed into the fire when
Yeah,
all this
there you
is
go.
done. And
See, you get rid
yeah,
of you
Yeah.
get rid of OCP
you
by
get rid of
not turning them.
OCP, you get rid of you get rid of the bad guy, that mercenary who's been the lead cause of all the problems for the final act.
In fact,
You
you
get
could
rid of
even
all the
yeah.
robots. You get rid of
Mm.
most of the outside references. You get rid of that 209 as well. It's done. Yeah.
The word you were looking for, Junix, is cliche.
Cliche. Yes, that word.
Um,
But tell me, would that not have been
that would
a
have made
better
more
outcome?
sense. That would have made more sense. Even if he even if he didn't kill the CEO, if like he came in, made a mess of things, you could have
Yeah.
had the CEO decide to just let Murphy leave the
Let
organization
Murphy
as
leave
like
while he
Yeah.
takes care of
yeah
trying to just close down the corporation because
Yeah.
he's now neck deep in trouble.
as like a sign of
Yeah.
good faith. Like
Yeah,
that
exactly.
and it would have made him look less stupid because like
Yeah, because I mean, overall for the movie, the CEO questionable, but he never really came off like trying to just be evil. He just was just being a CEO.
Yeah, he
He's
wasn't
just trying.
mad dumb evil, at least not until that last act.
He's just trying to make money in business. That's it. Why he just suddenly decides I need to kill this guy and I'm even willing to throw his family. I was like, what? Where did that come from?
I
There was
think
no
To get
reason.
rid of you, and I'm going to threaten your family right in front of you because I
But-
think I'm an idiot and I don't think
but-
you're going to do anything.
but-
Boom!
but-
Oh shoot, I'm dead.
But Mattox, there's all reasons to explain there. He thinks his robots are better. He's against RoboCop. RoboCop shows up and beats all his bots and beats him. He holds a grudge. He takes over the OCP robots, like all the Eds and such. Basically takes everybody hostage, including Alex's family, and basically wants to kill Alex. And at the end, he kills Mattox. And the CEO, knowing that he's going to have to face repercussions, has Alex be released from OCP's control as good faith and hopefully good PR, so he doesn't face, complete total backlash.
and you know
There you go.
the funny thing
Fixed
is
your
to like tie Mattox in as a villain, they could have even had like a plot line where he was providing some of the guns to Valen.
Oh,
there you
that
go.
too.
Yeah, because gee,
He was on the inside trying to help get those guns out. Yeah.
there you go. We fixed your movie again.
Brought to you by the guys who think too much and know better how to write a plot.
And I think the reason we were able to ignore some of the issues with like the characters not
Yeah.
getting the proper development they needed until like the plot twist made us all pissed off was because up until then you were at least able to just ignore it and treat it like a dumb action movie.
Ignore
Yeah.
it, treat it like the action movie and follow along as it kept going.
Where, but the problem is some of the dumb action wasn't that enjoyable because they had to have shaky cam.
Yeah.
Bane of
I
the
think-
20th century.
I think that was actually one of the most common complaints about the movie was shaky cam, which, yeah,
The most common complaint I ever heard was it's a dumb movie.
Yeah. It's
And the last act hits real solid on that one.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it was weird because like up until that plot twist, we were all kind of. You guys had both seen it before.
Yeah.
But just kind of sitting here going, it's not too bad right now.
I hadn't seen it before, and I was kind of like, so far I don't really see what's wrong with this. And you guys were like, yeah, I don't remember what's wrong with it. And then we hit that plot point where we're like,
Yeah.
fuck.
Oh,
Yeah.
damn.
I think it was a combination. I hadn't seen the movie in a long time, and then just realizing that, oh, that's probably why I wasn't remembering too much, because the first two-thirds was actually okay, but once it gets to the dumb thing, it's like, now I remember why I hated it.
It erased your memory of everything that happened earlier in it. Which
Yeah.
this is a problem. This is a problem I had with a movie we're not going to do because this is the final podcast. But this was a problem I had with The Predator, where like a good chunk of the movie was fine. Like there were some weird changes to the lore that they were doing, but it's also, well, it's a reboot. It's not going to be exactly the same. And then it turns out the Predators are here on Earth because they want to steal our autism to use it for their evolution. You're just like, what?
Autism equals evolution. No, it doesn't.
It's like what, the movie was fine until you dropped that fucking plot twist. It's
That was
amazing
freaking
how
stupid.
It's amazing how like a really stupid plot twist can make a movie go from being okay or good to just bad.
It's really bad considering any Predator, hard-time Predator fan who's seen the movies, comics, the novels, can point out evolution has never been about a thing with the Predators. It's all about the hunt.
Right.
It's nothing
Right. But once again, like it was a reboot, so there's understanding that it's not going to go exactly with all the previous lore. But when they show that they have hardened skeletons from various races that they stole genetics from, but then they're after humans' autism. It's like, no.
Are you really sure this is evolution train you want to go down? Because as humans who have maybe some mild autism, no, you don't need it. You don't want it.
That was one of those things where it's like you just know somebody on the writing staff had a kid that was autistic, and they wanted to make them feel good about themselves. They didn't care that it didn't make any fucking sense.
Even though I just was that.
But that's enough about that. We're not talking about that tonight.
Yeah.
Not tonight.
So,
by the way, folks, prepared for after this show is done. Prepare to get some more Matt reviews. Ding.
Yeah, that's right. You might have a few quotes from me when you actually review the Predator.
Yeah, I will be hitting up the guys here for some thoughts every once in a while, especially if it's something that I haven't covered on the channel before.
So, to wrap things up, we'll do final thoughts. We'll go around. We'll start with you, Matt.
Final thoughts. I actually forgot that the movie did start out pretty well, and then it just hits like a freaking sinking boulder, and it's like, oh shit, there it is.
It started
There's the reason why I hate everything, and then it goes into a CGI mush fest of crappy effects, and it's just like, yeah, I'm done paying attention. Now I'm in full mockery mode. Fuck you. Oh, is there a thing on my face? Just Ed 209's acting bonkers stupid.
It started out pretty well, and then the brakes on the car broke, and there was a cliff ahead.
And there was actually it wasn't a cliff. It was a small hill, but just because we need to have a special effect, we got halfway down the hill, and then we lit it on fire. Kaboom!
So it's a dumber version of Prey.
I'm not sure. I haven't seen Prey. You mean The Predator?
No, or not Prey. I think
Yeah.
it is Prey. The movie that starts about the truck that's basically chasing down a guy.
You mean Duel?
Duel. My bad. You're right. Duel.
Yeah, Prey is.
I'm not sure where Prey got in there.
Yeah, I was gonna say Prey is like the 5th Predator movie.
Well, actually, there's also a direct-to-video movie called Prey. I think it was one of those Sci-Fi.
I mean, it is a
original
really
ones.
simplistic name, so I could see it getting
There's
used
a
a lot.
simplistic name, so
It's-
maybe there's a couple other
it-
things out there, but that's
it's-
the only thing I can think of recently that had that
It's
title.
kind of like there's like
It-
5 movies called Outcast.
Yeah. There
How
is.
many Troll 3s are there?
There was more than
I think there's at
one.
least 2.
Uh,
No,
more than
the
one.
thing is you forget that the foreign companies that made a lot of movies didn't really care about whether or not someone else tried to name that sequel after that other sequel already.
Yeah.
So there's like 2
Yeah.
Troll 3s, a Troll 4.
Anyway, I guess my thoughts.
yeah, your final thoughts.
Yeah.
Oh, Genix.
More or less the same, but I also throw this in. The PR guy was strangely amusing.
Our
But
guy was fantastic. That would be like the only guy in the company that would
Like-
spare in that entire movie.
like he never got ear grating or annoying. He just always had this line this made
He
me
was
go,
just trying to do his job. He was literally the one guy that was just trying to do his job and
Do his
not be an
job.
asshole.
Yeah.
And always had a good one-liner.
Yeah, and like literally at the end, he's just like I just work
I'm
here."
just a part of the marketing team.
He just well, otherwise
He's like, I don't make the decisions. I just come up with how to spin them to the public.
But otherwise, yeah, pretty much more or less the same. First two-thirds of the movie, okay. Third movie, that's a car going off a cliff and exploding in the bottom.
Yeah, I was enjoying the movie up until the stupid plot twist.
Mm-hmm.
So
Have fun to jump the shark.
So after them screwing that up, like the main takeaway I have for this is like the fact that they actually addressed him dealing with his family is something that like I really wish it actually happened in the original series, but they never did it.
Mm-hmm.
Like there were like implications that they were going to, and then they just never went with it because they're like, oh, that cuts away too much time from him fighting the drug lord in a robot because reasons.
Mm-hmm.
So like if that's the one thing you could pull out of this and put into the old movies, that's what I would do. That's my takeaway from this movie.
Fair enough.
I definitely it's a weird one where it's a bad movie, but if you actually like RoboCop as a series, I almost feel like you should see this once just to appreciate the other movies more.
Need to watch this just once, so you might appreciate at least 2 for sure, a lot more than you do.
I would definitely say this is more of a yes, go ahead and rent it to see how it played out, more so than like say the Ghostbusters reboot or the one that we always punch on, Jason Goes to Hell. Still, after all this time, in my opinion, is still the worst movie we've done a podcast on.
Well,
Poor Jason.
Yeah. One, I regret I ever watched. The other, still haven't watched, and thankfully, it probably is better I never do.
So,
I probably would still say Jason Goes to Hell is probably still the worst.
yes, I maybe Matt will end up putting up a review for something up that's worse as we continue our watch fests together without me doing the podcast recording. But we'll see.
Well, I believe you put the challenge up to me to find some bad movies to watch, so we got some stuff coming.
Yeah. But as for this podcast, this is us signing off for the final time. So have a good one, everyone.
Good night,
Later.
everybody.
Later.